Right, here we are again. Another Horus Heresy battle report is going to be underway. Brought to you by 30k Forgotten Legion. For those who don't know, we are based out of England, and for this game, we're in Brighton in John's house, which is a house on the hill. I won't tell you the address, obviously, because you'll get stalked. Okay, so it is going to be a 3,000 point battle between the 4th Legion Iron Warriors and Perturabo and 18th Legion Salamanders with Vulkan. And I'll just get John to take us through his army. Go for it.
Okay, this is 3,000 points of Iron Warriors with the Hammer of Olympia Rite of War. It's led by Perturabo with Forgebreaker Desecrated. And beside him is my only other HQ choice, and that's a Master of Signals with a Graviton Maul.
And you've got a really cool nameplate on some of them, I see. That's
Absolutely.
cool.
Some of my characters have earned names over the years, so they've got their little nameplates.
What's his name?
now.
What's that say?
That is Arcadius.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all named after Greek characters of lore because of the Iron Warriors link with Olympia and Greek mythology.
Awesome.
So those are my two leaders' choices, the HQ and the Primarch. Then we've got the Dominators over here, 10 Dominators. They are equipped with 8 Thunderhammers, 2 have been upgraded or replaced with Chain Fists, and there's 2 Reaper Autocannon in there as well. Then we've got behind them a squad of Tyrant Siege Terminators. That's 8 Terminators with 2 Chain Fists. Over on the left, we have another Elite's Choice. That's a battery of 2 Gravis Heavy Quad Bolters. Unfortunately, the Iron Warriors aren't allowed to have the shrapnel bolter upgrades on the Quad Heavy Bolters, so they're just normal Quad Heavy Bolters on the crew. Over in the middle, we have 2 identical squads. That's 2 squads of 15 Tactical Marines, both led by a Sergeant with a Power Fist. They both have a Vexilla and an Augury Scanner, and the whole squad is equipped with shrapnel bolters. Over at the back are 2 Dreadnoughts. You've got the Neck Twister on the left, who's got a...
Also this one.
That's the one on the left.
He's even got the neck twister on his plate.
That's it, yeah.
Amazing.
Famous for twisting necks. He's got a Gravis Power Fist with an inbuilt Heavy Flamer, and he's got a Chain Fist with an inbuilt Melter Gun. And on the right is a much more basic Dreadnought with a Volkite Dual Culverin and a Gravis Power Fist with an inbuilt Bolter. And on the right are 2 squads of Iron Havocs. At the front, you've got the Autocannon Iron Havocs. That's 10 of them, just with an Augury Scanner upgrade. And behind them are 9 Las Cannon Iron Havocs, again with an Augury Scanner. And that's 3,000 points of Iron Warriors altogether.
And before, you said what bonuses they get for... What do they get bonuses wise? I know you said before. But...
So being Iron Warriors, their kind of Legion trait is bonuses against enemy armour and buildings and automata. So that's +1 strength on all their weaponry. Mm-hmm. And because I've got the Hammer of Olympia Rite of War, that means that all my shrapnel bolters will re-roll 1s to hit. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Nice. And defence line using that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got 1 defence line as well, just to tie in with the whole gun line theme of the army.
Awesome. So really heavy infantry army. Yeah, nothing, no vehicles. Pretty much the same as me. Might as well go through the battlefield as we're here.
Sure.
And then we'll go to my stuff after. So do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So my battlefield is quite different to many. It's themed more on a kind of abandoned agri-world. So it's mostly forests and the odd kind of rusting platform here and there, a bit of mining equipment. So all the metal work we treat as a 5-up cover save, like the landing pads and the abandoned buildings and the scenery and the crates. And all the trees and everything else is 6-up cover. So the board, while it's quite heavily sceneried, isn't actually too punishing when it comes to cover saves. So it's quite a busy board, but I like the theme of it and it's quite different as well.
Yes, there's a sort of overview of it here. I'll try and get up high. So yeah, we'll see more of it in a minute. Okay, let's go over to my stuff. Okay, 18th Legion led by Vulkan. Big lad again. Okay, what else have we got? We got much the same from before. We've got a champion. We're sticking with the just on foot really theme at the moment. Paragon Blade, Thunderhammer, Dragon Scale, Storm Shield, and he's got Nemesis Bolter on his back. I think around here somewhere. There we are, around there. Chaplain, Thunderhammer again. He's got Nemesis Bolter and Dragon Scale Storm Shield on his hand there, sort of around the corner. And Librarian Telepathy, again, same thing. Thunderhammer, Dragon Scale, Storm Shield. Apothecary, leading with just, you know, a chainsword, just to be annoying. He's got Artificer Armor as well. So basically, a whole bunch of them has got Artificer Armor. They're going to join the Paraclass squad, and there's 10 of them. And the Fire Drake Warden, wherever he's gone. There he is, in the middle. He's got a Thunder Hammer as well. So that's them lot. Okay, next. Heavy Support Las Cannon squad. I've got Augury Scanner, which is over here. A little red sort of flashy thing on his base. Vexilla, the obvious there. Sergeant's always the one with no helmet on. Led by an Apothecary, with an Apothecary of Artificer Armor. There's 10 of them. Another squad of Pyroclasts. Again, Thunderhammer on the Warden and the Apothecary. It's really much the same as the last game against Rupert's army. And another squad, identical. Apothecary has got Artificer Armor as well. They all get line because they've got Covenant of Fire, so it makes them troops and gives them line. That's why I've got so many Recon Marines. Again, the Sergeant doesn't have a helmet on. And Augury Scanner is there. And that Vexilla is at the back. Nemesis Bolters and all of them. I've got 2 squads of them. I dropped a squad because I wanted to take a Contemptor. So again, exactly the same squad, so mirror image of the other squad. Augury Scanner is there, and the Vexilla is there. Sergeant's there. And then I've got the Head Twister instead of the Neck Twister. Unbelievable. Very similar to John's one, but obviously much better. He's got, what he's got basically. So he's going to be fun. Hopefully he doesn't die straight away. So that's my sort of list, and then we'll have a look and see what mission we get and what setup we get and come back. Okay, so we're going to roll for mission. John is, go for it. 5, let's have a look. Okay, so we have rolled Tide of Carnage. Let's have a look at what we've got to do. Alright, so it's a 5-turn game. Victory conditions. Mission are achieved by forcing enemy back from the battlefield at the end of the game. Most victory points is the winner. Normal stuff. So, each sector of the battlefield. So, essentially it's 3, 5 and 7. And it's got to be a scoring unit, I'm sure. So yeah, the main thing this one, in order to claim a side, is quite important. A side must have 1 or more scoring units in the sector, and an enemy must have none. So that's quite difficult, depending on how many scoring units you've got. I've got 5. How many you got, John?
2.
Ah! Okay. Sailor Warlord is 1. Primarch with this additional 1. Last Man Standing gets an extra 1. And then we've got Reserves, Night Fighting, Heavy Armour, which none of us have. Yeah, we don't have vehicles, flyers. It's just, vehicles that are not flyers. So yeah, that's what we got. And do you want to roll for the map setup as well? Yeah, go for it. Go for it. 4, let's have a look. Okay, it's what John wanted. Hammer and anvil, so you can sit at the back, blast me to bits. Okay, that's cool. All right, so we've got hammer and anvil, Tide of Carnage. We shall, I guess, roll for who goes first now.
Oh, when do we decide night fighting? Isn't that before? That's, well, I check when you do night fighting, mate.
Yeah, we'll have a look at night fighting because we can never remember that.
Yeah, but I know it's before deployment, but I don't know when.
Okay, we're going to roll for who goes first, I suppose. I've got obviously a 6. Look at that. Look at that. Read it and weep.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, and then we'll come back after we have done some deploying. Okay.
On a 1, we don't get it.
Going to roll for night fight because I want to have night fight. John doesn't. There we go. Night fight it is. All right, so we've just finished deployment, and I will just show where my guys are. So, Vulkan and the Pyroclasts have tried to hide behind this sort of pretty sturdy sort of building thing here. Hopefully they can't really be seen by most stuff on the other side. I'm just afraid of John seizing. I've put another squad behind them. A bit of backup really, because obviously the threat of all those horrible Iron Warriors with the Thunder Hammers, which is horrible. Then I put my Lascans on this building here. We're treating it as a ruin, so although they are on top of it, John stated at the start that these sort of metal buildings are actually going to be kind of area terrain, so although it doesn't look like they're in any cover at all, we're just sort of imagining that it's some stuff in the way of them, so they get a 5-up save in that little block there. And I've set them up like that because he's got no blast template weapons, so I didn't really care about, you know, spreading them out. Okay, over here I put head twister here, the contemptor, and they're here again trying to get some line of sight blockage by these big building here, and set up a squad of power class to sort of give him a bit of a hand, really support him. And then I'll do my infiltrators as well. So I infiltrated my recon marines all the way back here out of range, and another squad, quite cool actually, on top of here, pretty thematic in a way. They got skirmish, got 3-inch currency as well, so they're all good. They're there to take his, basically to try and pin out these horrible gits. Anyway, so your deployment, mate?
Okay, over on the left, we've got Perturabo, who's joined the Dominators. They're not a retinue choice because the points value is too high, so he's just joining them for the game. And behind Perturabo and the Dominators is the Neck Twister. Beside them is the defense line, hiding 2 squads of the Iron Havocs, both the las cannon and the autocannon Iron Havocs. In the centre, we have the Tyrant Siege Terminators, who are about 48.1 inches away from Pete's las cannons. They've been joined by the Master of Signals, and behind them is a tactical squad. Beside them is the second tactical squad, and in the corner,
Go round.
in the corner is the second and final Contemptor and the quad heavy bolter squad. So my whole army, as you can see, is deployed quite far back, out of range. So hopefully Pete's turn 1 shooting, apart from the Nemesis bolters, won't be too damaging.
Yeah, so there's an enormous gulf in the middle. So we'll see what happens. It's it's funny. Oh, he's got the Gauss green. Okay, this is the C's.
All right, the C's roll on a 6.
Go for it.
It's a 3.
It's a 3. Right. Okay, cool. All right, let's do it. So I'll do turn 1 movement. Okay, turn 1 movement phase for 18th Legion. Essentially, I moved this sort of block of just dudes up to this line of sight block of scenery, really. Hid behind that because there's a whole entire gun line. So much gunfire at me, I didn't want to expose myself too much. I actually moved the Nazcans back and ran, just because the only thing, I wasn't in range of a damn thing, and then the Tyrant Siege Terminators would, on his turn 1, launch, how was it, 20 rockets, is it, what they would hit me with? 16 rockets, and I wouldn't be able to do anything, so I just thought I'd move back, make it a bit more difficult for them, because we couldn't shoot anyway. So they moved back. Nemesis bolters, recon stay where they were to fire. And what else? Over here, this squad, they ran towards them. Everyone ran forward again, trying to use this nice line of sight blocking scenery just to cover myself from some gunfire, because I can't hide from everything, but just trying to hide from something. So that's where we're at. Okay, shooting phase, let's see what happens. Alright, so turn 1 shooting. So we've got the recon squad here, are up here, and recon squad up here. So the first squad, which was these guys, they fired all the way over here at the las cannons, and as you can see, they pinned them. And me and John discussed it. Actually, he was the best person to shoot out, and it was the augury scanner. So I picked the augury scanner, killed him, and then they're pinned. So they can only fire, because it's night fight, 24 inches. So they're now not effective on turn 1. And then the other squad did exactly the same, shot out the augury scanner, and then their range is 24 again, because it's night fight turn 1, and they're pinned. So can't ask for any more from those 2 squads, to be fair. They only actually got one wound each one, didn't they?
One model died on each.
One save on each one, and it was a 5 up because the defense line, and failed both, and then amazingly, there we go. You can explain it.
Yeah, yeah. It's worth saying that they were doing. Feel like empty. I'm choking.
Go for it. How did they get pinned?
Yeah, so using Perturabo's Warlord trait, they test on 3d6, pick the 2 lowest, and both of them still manage to roll 10 or more on 3 dice.
Yeah, you rolled a 10, I think, and then a 9 on the other one, didn't you?
Yeah,
something
using
like
3 dice on each. So
amazing.
Utterly shameful.
All right, so no tests. It's Iron Warriors turn 1 movement phase.
Iron Warriors movement phase turn 1. So Perturabo and the Dominators have gone forward 4 inches due to terrain, and that's opened a doorway behind so that the Neck Twister Dreadnought can walk through into the woods as well.
Really, isn't it? Through the woods.
Through the woods areas. Behind him are 2 pinned units of Iron Havocs busy scratching their asses and doing nothing else. Over in the centre of the battlefield, the Tyrant Siege Terminators have moved forwards to start bringing their rockets to bear, whilst the tactical squad behind them have shuffled forward. And to their right, the other tactical squad have advanced a bit more bravely. And in the corner, the quad heavy bolters have moved forwards, but they're still out of range due to night fight. and one lone Contemptor has gone up onto the hill to bring his Volkite to bear. That's the movement phase over.
Yeah, this is an overview, I suppose, of the table. It is cagey. It was, to be honest, it was always going to be cagey. None of us are sort of alpha strikey, assaulty, deep strikey, outflanky army, so it's always going to be a bit like this, to be fair. So yeah, but let's see what shooting does. Okay, so shooting phase.
Okay, so the Iron Warriors' first shooting phase was rather limited due to night fight and a few dead Iron Havocs with augury scanners.
Yeah.
The Tyrant Siege Terminators fired across the board at the squad of Pyroclasts led by Vulkan, and 6 crack missiles at line of sight, and 1 Pyroclast failed his armor save and was instantly killed.
Yep.
And on the other side, the Contemptor fired his dual Volkite Culverin at the Pyroclasts and managed a single wound, and that was the full extent of the Iron Warriors shooting. Yeah,
turn 2 and 3 is where it's going to be at, I think. All right, let's go on to see if we get night fight.
Isn't it?
Okay, night fight roll.
Night
fight is over. Let's see what happens. Okay, so 18th Legion, turn 2 movement phase. As you can tell, these haven't moved. I guess the reason is it's Iron Warriors, essentially, and they have so many guns. I don't want to get hit by so many guns unless I can do anything first. So I'm hiding behind here first. I've also got a big scary Perturabo over there. I will advance. It's just at the moment I'm happy to sit there doing hiding. The Lascans again stayed still this time. I just feared that if I went forward and then tried to snap fire, the return fire would be devastating. So I was going to stay there and let them come to me a bit and cover off basically this whole area. Okay, the Recon Marines are staying where they are. They haven't moved. They're going to hopefully try to do some shooting again. And then over here, I sort of tucked in behind this building with the Pyroclasts here, and the Contemptors advanced up towards the other enemy Contemptor. So again, cagey as it is what it is. But there we are. And let's see what shooting does. Okay, so 18th Legion shooting phase. So we had the Recon Marines here and up there, and the Recon Marines over here, and these 5, first of all over here, targeted this squad of Iron Havocs of Lascans. The sergeant made two saves on 5 ups, hid behind the wall, the horrible sod, and then the other squad shot him out. He failed finally. They didn't get pinned, so we worked out if I do another 7 turns of shooting, I'll kill them all. So yeah, so that's what it is, and then no other shooting from me. Iron Warriors turn 2 movement phase.
The Iron Warriors turn 2 movement phase. Perturabo and the Dominators have moved forward a little bit more through terrain. Beside them, both unpinned squads of Iron Havocs.
Here they come.
They've sorted themselves out and they've walked forward because it's time to bring the massed guns into range a little bit, with the neck twister near them as well. Over in the centre, the Tyrant Siege Terminators have advanced in the centre of the board. They've gone forward as far as they can. The 2 tactical squads have gone forward cautiously behind them. And at the back, the Heavy Bolters have brought their gun carriages into range, while the Contemptors moved back just a little bit, just to keep a line of sight onto the enemy, but not to get too close to the enemy.
A very slow Iron Warrior advance, isn't it? Just a mass of silver just walking towards you. Just
that's it.
Menacingly.
A bristling gun line walking forward slowly but inevitably.
Nice. So see what shooting does.
Iron Warriors turn to shooting phase. The quad Heavy Bolters fired at the Pyroclast squad opposite and put a wound on a single model. And then the Contemptor next to them fired but failed to do anything at all. In the middle of the battlefield, the Tyrant Siege Terminators, who are now looking seriously defeated.
Not fun time for them.
They exchanged fire with the Lascannon squad at the opposite end of the board.
All the way over here. And
due to some rather poor dice rolls, I managed to kill 5 out of the 10, and their return fire managed to kill 5 back.
And that, to be honest, for me was, such a good exchange. I killed 5 siege tyrants to the loss of 5 lascans. Sort of talking through it earlier, I thought if I fired at them, John's return fire of the tyrants is actually far worse than getting shot by them, because they can do the double fire.
Bit of fury.
Yeah, a bit of fury. What's it one? Is it your
advanced reaction?
That's the one. Couldn't get the right words out then. Yeah, your advanced reaction would have been more devastating, and then unbelievably I managed to kill 5. So an absolute brutal exchange. I needed to do a leadership test.
And then the autocannon Iron Havocs, who have broken cover, fired across the board at the same pyroclast squad over here, and managed to put a single. Oh no, the autocannons
Didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything.
Yep.
The las cannon on Havocs next to them managed to fire a single snapshot and did manage to kill a single pyroclast.
Yeah, it was a pretty. Yeah, it was fair enough. There's 3 here, just in line through that dreadnought, through that squad, all the way along here, and through that gap, and just hit the guy at the end in that little gap there. So yeah.
So just the morale check on the las cannons. And that's the shooting phase.
Let's just do that on the camera. See how we go. 8, we're all right, because we'll leadership 8 for Space Marines now. Yeah. Lucky me. Cool. And so it'll be turn 3, I think, isn't it? For
yes, turn 3.
Salamanders. Turn 3, movement phase, 18th Legion. Yep, we're still in the same bit. We will come out next turn, probably. Yeah, the only thing that's worrying me is those precision shot las cannons. I mean, I think the precision, what is it they precision on?
6+.
They precision shot on a 6. I'm just so worried that the returned fire, he gets 2 or 3 hits and just nails out my librarian or anyone he particularly likes. Because I'll just get instant killed. And that's the same for this unit and the other unit, is that correct?
Well, yeah, got precision shot 6+, but they're strength 7 with the autocannon.
Yeah, so it's the las cannons I really need to just deal with. Absolutely have to deal with them. So, again, I'm staying there for the moment in time. Nemesis bolters, of course, the Recon Marines stayed. The las cannon's going to stay, of course. And then over here, I've tucked in really behind the building as much as I can, just hide there, and the Contemptor's gone forward a little bit, just to sort of hold and threaten this central area. And this is the overview. So it is cagey, like I said at the start, it was always going to be, but it will be happening in turns 4 onwards, I'm sure. Anyway, let's see what happens from the shooting phase, see if we can get rid of the siege tyrants. Okay, Salamander's turn 3 shooting phase. Again, it's the Recon Marines that are trying their very best to kill people, but they're not really doing very well. So 10 of them managed to kill 1 guy. So didn't pin them. They killed a las cannon, so not the best, but you know, it's something. My las cannons then fired at the siege tyrants, who then returned fire. This guy at the back was out of range of everything, so he couldn't be targeted or killed. But I did manage to knock one out, caused a break test, but passed it. And the return fire killed 1 of mine. So we're exchanging 1 for 1 at the moment with this duel. So there's 2 left. So I put a real big dent in them, and I've got 4 las cannons left. And that is my turn 3, because nothing else to fire. So the 4th Legion's turn 3 movement phase. 1.
Iron Warriors movement phase turn 3. Perturabo and the Dominators have continued to move forward to negotiate that wood, holding a steady line. To the right of them, both squads of Iron Havocs have again advanced forwards, just sacrificing good firepower to get better range. In the centre, the Contemptor has run far and long to get into the centre of the battlefield. And then over on the right, the tactical squads have lined up for the inevitable approach of the Salamanders, whilst at the far end, the Contemptor and the gun carriages have already got line of sight to the enemy. So we'll see how the shooting phase goes.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. Just an absolute wall. A wall of silver and black. Humongous line of them. Yeah, looks awesome. Okay, let's see how the shooting goes. Go for it.
Iron Warriors turn 3 shooting phase. The Dominators fired off a few Reaper autocannon shots and wounded a Pyroclast, hiding not so well down there.
Yep, shot him in the leg.
Yep. In the middle of the board, the Iron Havocs fired snapshots all the way across the board at the las cannon squad and managed to kill 1 or 2 of them, I think.
Yeah,
1 or 2 from snap firing shots.
You killed 2, didn't you? Because I rolled rubbish on my film.
That's right.
Yep.
And then the Tyrant Siege Terminators on the other side fired their crack missiles into the las cannon squad and killed 1 more, who then returned fire.
I didn't do anything in return fire,
did nothing
sadly.
whatsoever. And then over on this flank, the tactical squads did nothing once again, and the combined might of the Contemptor and the quad heavy bolters fired into the Pyroclast for a net total of nothing. So, turn 3, again, very little damage caused in this game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, it is, totally. Just the mission, I think, is pushing it that way, because none of us are really committing, because the mission, I think, you've only got two units that can score, which are these 2.
That's right.
And I've got multiple units that can score, so it's just about holding the zones at the moment. So we don't want our scoring units to die, basically. And that's how it goes. So turn 4 for Salamanders. Okay, Salamanders movement phase turn 4. So finally, I broke cover of that. It might be the worst decision ever or a really good one. I guess we'll see in a minute. I have to do something. So yeah, could be awesome, could be terrible. One of the two. So we've gone up to here. The reason is to basically use the librarian to do psychic fugi on these and make them run off. That's the plan on the last cans. We'll see if it happens. And then yeah, just sort of dominate this area. So yeah, they've gone up to there. That's what they've done. Obviously the recons have stayed. I've moved the last can down here. There's only one left. He didn't run away after shooting phase. I just thought it was a bit pointless him just standing there to get killed. So I just dropped him down there to hide for the rest of the game. He's had enough. This squad's sort of tucked in a little bit, trying to get out of line of sight. The Contemptor stayed there as a sort of protective barrier against all this lot. And that's movement phase done. So see what shooting does. Okay, Salamander's turn 4 shooting phase. I don't have much shooting really, but what happened was Recon Marines, again they haven't moved obviously, they fired and killed 2 guys from the last scan squad, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, 2.
They passed both sets of pinning tests. Did they have 2 or just 1? I can't remember now.
1.
I think it was 1, yeah. I think the other one didn't do anything.
But saved them.
Yeah, that's it. Killed 1, forced a break test, didn't break. Earlier on, I did psychic fugi on these guys to stop them reacting, and then I chose to hit them with hallucination and I pinned them. So they are not doing much next go, and that is now turn 4 movement phase for Iron Warriors.
Iron Warriors turn 4 movement phase. Perturabo and the Dominators have moved forward to bring their weapons into bear against Vulkan squad opposite. The Lascannon Iron Havocs have stayed still, and the pinned Iron Havocs with autocannons have stayed still as well. The Tyrant Siege Terminators have pushed forward a little bit more, and then the massed Tactical Marines have begun manoeuvring forwards as well, and both Contemptors have ganged up to move forward to engage Peter Contemptor, who used his reaction to then move back towards us. So we've got a Contemptor face down over there. And finally, the quad heavy bolters over on the right-hand side, or my left, have stayed still to shoot. So that is all of the Iron Warriors movement, and it's probably the most movement phase of the movement phases.
Yeah, awesome. Shooting phase.
Okay, Iron Warriors turn 4 shooting phase. Perturabo and the Dominators fired up at Vulkan's squad and possibly managed to kill one of the Pyroclasts, certainly wounded one of them.
Yeah, kill one, wounded one.
The Lascannon Iron Havoc shot across the board at Peter's Contemptor and caused a wound on him as well. The Iron Havocs that were pinned managed to snap fire up into Vulkan's squad and managed to also cause a wound or kill a Pyroclast, one or the other. The Tyrant Siege Terminators in the middle of the board fired across at the
Recon
Marines, and due to their amazing cover saves of 4 up, they didn't manage to cause any wounds.
They returned fire.
They returned fire. And
for nothing.
Of course, no damage back. The massed Tactical Marines fired their shrapnel bolters at the Contemptor and caused a few more wounds.
Yep.
And finally, the Gravis quad heavy bolters fired at the Pyroclast behind the building and caused 1 wound on 1 guy. So not devastating, but lots of wounds caused here and there.
Yeah, all over the place. So it's the final turn, I believe. Turn 5 is the end of the game, isn't it, for this?
It is.
So final turn for the 18th Legion movement phase. Okay, 18th Legion. Turn 5, final turn of the game for the Salamanders. I mean, there is no combats. There might be a combat, maybe. It's pretty sad, really. I didn't think about it, but it is what it is. I think for us it was the mission, really. But let's go through this and we'll talk about it at the end. All right, so what have we done? We have moved along here with Vulkan's unit, just occupying here. The reason they went along here is so the Librarian can telepathy hallucination the group of Marines over here. And if it goes off and they're pinned, we checked it in the rules and they then can't score and they can't claim that zone. So this is absolutely enormous if I can get that off and get through the 3 dice. I also put the other unit in this zone. We checked that as well because it has to be wholly within a zone. I made sure both units here, my line units, are in no man's land. And also my unit over here, they backed off from this bit of cover because they were just too close to the Contemptors. Again, staying in the no man's land. So we still got 3, effectively got 3 scoring units of line inside no man's land. And the Recon Marines both stay where they are to try and do some more pinning. Dreadnought move around here, and then you did the Reaction?
Reaction to withdrawal. So one tactical squad has walked 4 inches backwards away from the dreadnought.
Yeah. Dreadnought's looking in bad shape. He's only got 2 wounds left. But there we go. I mean, he's going down, as simple as that, but let's see what he does. And that is literally movement phase and on shooting.
Sorry, I'll drop that away.
That's all right, mate. Okay, so final turn of the shooting for 18th Legion. All right, so we had a lot of discussion about this. So the psychic power pinned this big unit of Marines, which is, as I said earlier, really important because it makes them not then act as a scoring unit in the next go because they're pinned. And there's nothing they can do about it. So them 15 Marines, yeah, it seems harsh, but Librarian has absolutely done his job by pinning them. And probably that sort of, I think we discussed it, didn't it? It's probably sort of turned it to a win because he just can't, because with those two line units, only one of them is effective, which can only hold his own zone. So it's a bit annoying. But anyway, that's what that happened. I don't know what else to do. Yeah, Nemesis bottles over here from the Recon Marines, two squads. Again, I keep targeting the Lascans who are bravely taking it on the chin every single turn. They evaded to get shrouded and they passed the morale. I killed 1, I think. Yeah. And over here, I killed 3. They did exactly the same, evaded, but they did get pinned from them. So that turn, I managed to pin 2 units, which is really good. And then the Contemptor fired at the gun carriage, took a wound off there because he's going to go for a mad charge. So I might as well film the only charge we've had in the whole game. So let's do that. All right, here we go. Contemptor, head twister. We need a 9. It's 7. Absolutely not. Okay, so Iron Warriors final turn. Okay, go for it.
This is the Iron Warriors' 5th and final turn. So Perturabo and the Dominators have advanced one final time to bring their guns onto the Salamanders. Behind them, the Lascannon Iron Havocs have stood still, and the Iron Havocs with the autocannons are pinned, so they're not going anywhere. In the centre of the board, the Tyrant Siege Terminators have advanced one final time, and the Tactical Marines who are pinned remain pinned, whilst the second squad stay where they are to bring their guns to bear on that battered Dreadnought, who is about to get mobbed by 2 of my Dreadnoughts. Yep. And finally, at the far end, the gun carriages have stayed still as well to bring their firepower onto the Pyroclasts for one final volley.
Okay, right, see what happens. What is it? Okay, go for it.
Iron Warriors turn 5, final turn, shooting phase. Perturabo and the Dominators fired into Vulkan's squad and did relatively little.
Yep.
The Lascannons also fired into the squad and caused a wound on Vulkan.
I evaded and made no save.
Absolutely. And then the Iron Havocs also shot into the same squad and also wounded Vulkan a second time as well.
Failed the save again.
That's it, even though they were snap firing.
He passed 1 out of 3 saves on 3 ups, which is good.
The Tyrant Siege Terminators fired across at the Pyroclasts. And,
I need to test on them, don't I?
We do need to do a morale check on them, in a moment. Yeah, go for it.
Let's do that now. Why not? Just remembered about that.
Testing on 9, I assume.
Yep.
That'll be them running.
Amazing. Right, they're running away. Okay, let's do that in a minute.
And
awesome.
The pin squad didn't do anything because the Contemptors had a...
This was funny.
They had a moment. So the Contemptor with the Volkite dual culverin, this one here, knocked a wound off Peter's Contemptor and then used the twin-linked bolter to shoot him in the face and kill him. And then Peter's Contemptor exploded, hitting my Contemptor next to him, causing a wound. Of course, I then rolled a 1 for the armour save and wound him. So
the bolter killed a Contemptor and wounded another one.
That's right, comedy of errors over there. And that brings the shooting phase and indeed the assault phase to the end as well. Yeah. Oh, so that's right, the quad heavy bolters also shot and killed, I think, 2 of the Pyroclasts who just...
around. Let's see how far they go anyway. They're going 9, so
healthy 9.
Somewhere over here, running off. Okay, fine. They've now been effectively destroyed, haven't they?
They have.
They can't regroup. All right, so let's come back to it after we worked out VPs.
Okay, the end of the game's victory points. So Peter held his own deployment zone with several recon squads for 3 victory points, and he also held the centre, the no man's land area, for 5 victory points. And I got 3 victory points for holding my own deployment zone with my tactical squads. And then I also got 1 victory point for last man standing because I had 11 units alive at the end of the game and Peter had 9 left alive. So the total victory points overall were 8 to Peter and 4 to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think a little overview of the game. I suppose it's I hopefully it wasn't, you know, there wasn't a lot of action in it. I think the reason for that was because if I went forward early, I would have so much guns shooting me, I would just die. And then they just turn on each squad and start deleting them. And I don't think I could have held up just the sheer amount of lascans and autocannons, and not so much that it's the fact they got a precision shot. That was what was worrying me. You know, so these squad here, these 2 squads of precision shots. I know it's a 6 to hit, but if the lascans are shooting out my characters and killing them every single turn and killing out who they like, it's just a lot of firepower to take. And then I couldn't really shoot back at them because all my stuff is short range, and the nature of the board was, well, the actual deployment zone was hammer and anvil. It's so hard for me to get that close and then to get counterattacked by this whole unit of, I couldn't survive against that. You know, he's got, how many thunder hammers have you got in that unit?
10, 8, sorry, 8.
8 thunder hammers,
yeah.
2 chain fists and Perturabo against, so they've all got cataphracт armor, so they've got 4 up and vulnerable saves as well, lots of attacks, and I've got, you know, a few characters in there that could all right, and Vulkan, but in combat they would just die. I would fall over, so I had to stand back. Equally, he didn't want to get in range of the melter guns. I had so many of them, so it was a standoff game. And in the end, it literally came down to a psychic check, really, and and then if you could pass the pinning test, which unfortunately you couldn't, which means they couldn't advance, and they're kind of stuck in here in your deployment zone. The other squad couldn't make it across the other side. Is that how it went mainly?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the second tactical squad that was in a position to advance and contest the centre zone, because they were pinned by Peter's librarian, they therefore couldn't advance in my 5th and final turn. So therefore I couldn't contest no man's land when, if they weren't pinned, I possibly could have. But even then, I think that would have actually given me the win by 1 point. But as it was, it's a moot point because they were pinned and they were going nowhere whatsoever. Yeah. And likewise, the game for me, whereas I had a significantly better ranged army than Peter, the fact that Night Fight took a turn away from me was quite punishing, and also it's only a 5-turn game, so effectively I had 3 turns of shooting, and because of the vast number of 12-inch melter guns and what have you, I couldn't close the gap either. So as you kind of saw, I held back and tried to do what shooting I could and then advance when I felt safe, but the shooting was a bit lackluster or not effective enough for me to ever really advance, and by the time I did advance in turn 4-5, it wasn't far enough to secure the no man's land, so that's why I couldn't quite contest it.
Yeah. So not every game is about running forward and smashing people in the face and killing everything. This was one of those games, and probably because we both had largely, well, infantry based armies.
Yeah.
No one was that quick. We didn't have any flank assault. We didn't have any deep strike assault. It's hammer and anvil. Just how the dice rolled and the sort of mission rolled, and just how the map was set up. Still a fun game, even though it was, you know, as I said, not you know, thematic. I don't think it's smashed and killed, standoffy, but
it was more of a cagey game than it was a bloodbath. Really, we didn't destroy each other. I mean, our casualty piles are actually quite light.
Tiny, yeah.
I mean, Peter killed 6 Tyrant Siege Terminators and some Iron Havocs, and that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah, this is the dead pile, I think, for the Iron Warriors is here, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, that's all that we lost. Some Iron Havocs from both squads and the Tyrant Siege Terminators. Whereas I took out.
Well, these are dead. They ran.
That's right, 1 squad of Pyroclast and 9 of the las cannons and a few Pyroclasts and other squads as well.
Yeah, awesome game, mate.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Cool. Good job. See you guys next time.